It feels so good outside right now from this rain.
Who loves the rain? We love the rain.
We love the rain. Hey, what's up, Brite Nation? Today is the day that we finally get to start putting my Jeep back together.
Woo woo.
It's pretty much stripped as much as possible, minus these mounts, which we're gonna get into in this video. We do have some really cool things to show you guys though.
Let's check them out.
This is Barnes 4-wheel drive TJ/LJ rear back half kit. And the reason we love this so much is because unlike other companies, Barnes 4-wheel drive has this cross member. So there's definitely more stability and strength there. And also this kit welds 5 inches into the frame. Also, super happy that we got this just because the rear of my frame is in absolute terrible shape. So now we can completely get rid of it and put Barnes 4-wheel drive rear kit on and it'll be solid and good, like it should.
Another thing we picked up from Barnes are these boat side body mounts for the TJ/LJ. And the reason we picked these things up is because I'm pretty certain that we're gonna go flat belly on this. And when you go flat belly on a TJ or an LJ, you have to do a body lift. Because we're gonna put these on there, we're gonna lose the body lift and I'm just gonna lift the body up about 1.5 inches right from the get-go. So then we don't have any spacers that we have to purchase or anything like that, because we know we're going to chop these off and put new ones on. So when we do, we'll just put them up 1.5 inches, we'll gust them into the frame. All 6 will be solid mounted this time, because we're gonna fix that too. Last but not least, we like to save money. Doesn't everybody? Everybody loves to save money. Another product that Barnes offers is a full hydro link kit. It comes with all the clevises, the tubes, the heims, the bolts, everything to go full hydro minus the ram. So we are going to use an old ram that we had laying around and we're going to add full hydro to her LJ. Also, one last thing, we did pick up LS motor mount kit. So this will bolt to the block, this will go bolt about here, and then we'll make the adapter and we'll go to the frame. So we're going to make our own motor mounts. Barnes has it all. So Beck got the engine assembled. Looks pretty rad. It's all cleaned up.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
New everything. I don't know if you saw this. It's pretty sweet. So now that we have this part done, dun dun dun, the dreaded part.
It's the tedious task that needs to be done.
It is, it is. We were lucky enough to get an 0307 complete harness. You can buy new ones online or remanufactured ones online. There's a lot of people that sell them, but because we have a whole harness.
Also, they're expensive. So if you want to save some money, if you have the harness, it does take some work and it's super tedious, but it's nice to save where you can.
Yep.
So we're just gonna clean it up, take some stuff out of it and make it pretty again and put it back in.
So now that Beck got the harness all stripped, I'm just going through it and cutting out a bunch of stuff that we don't need. This is the semi-fun part. I hate wiring, but I'm really good at it. So this is what we're doing now. So I gotta create a fuse box. Again, you can find a lot of this information online. I'm semi-pro at this. I've done quite a few of these in my day. Things that we need and don't need. The biggest thing I need to do for now is get the wiring schematic for the LJ and tie some of the things together. I think Novak has an adapter to go from a GM wiring to a Jeep cluster so that some of that stuff will work. I'm gonna wire in our own AC because she wants AC. We do have an electric pedal, so it will have cruise control. I just got to figure out how to control the cruise control. It's a 4-wire hookup. So there's a couple things that we're going to be doing when we get that far. But right now I'm just going to clean up this harness, get it all bare bones and 3-wire hookup, power, ground, ignition. I got to build a fuse box for all the coils, injectors, stuff like that. We're going to use a stock starter solenoid, so I just got to find blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Let's just see how this goes. As you can see, you really can't see any of the harness because I have the harness running through the inside of like the fuel rails and stuff. The AC system I'm going to run outside of the PCM only because I'm going to use the controls out of the Jeep to do it. I'm pretty sure you can use like a van, express van, and I might go that way because then when you turn the AC on and you go to full throttle, it'll turn the AC off. I haven't quite figured out exactly what I'm going to do with the AC system yet, but regardless, we can wire that in later. Fan controls. She does have an electric fan on there. She does not have two. She only has one. But I have two fan controls in it. The ECU does have them both. Again, one would be like when you turn the AC on, the second fan would come on full blast. Still a possibility, I don't know yet. I might put a pusher fan in front of the radiator. I don't know. So these things are all in the air. But for now, the harness is made. So I'm gonna start pulling that thing off and getting it loomed up. So that's what I chopped out of this harness. And then I redid it so that it makes sense when we put it in the LJ and where the ECU and everything will sit. So it still looks like a mess, but I understand it, barely. So I'm gonna start pulling this thing off and start getting it loomed up, taped up. Coming down here, I have to put all these ground wires back in the ECU plugs. I just removed them so that they were out of the way. Trans control, I got some AC stuff. This is the mass airflow, which I took out and rewired to do speed density. So that'll be a speed density motor. So we won't have a MAF. We're gonna have a MAP sensor and a intake air temp instead of this. Get rid of the purge valve, all the purge line, got rid of all that. And just chopped out a bunch of wiring so that it goes to the passenger side instead of the driver's side where the ECU used to sit like somewhere over here on the wheel well. So it won't sit there anymore. Yeah, I'm waiting for my IAT to get here so I can finish wiring that up. Yeah, so we're gonna start pulling this thing off and looming it up. So the way we're gonna jig these guys up, these little boat sides, I used a piece of 2x2 material across the bottom. I lined it up with the center of the hole. So essentially what we could do is we can measure from the center of the hole to the tube, get this dimension, whack this off, and weld this on 1.5 inches to the top plate to the frame. We're going to do to all 6 of them. They are at different heights, so we're going to use this piece of metal to get that dimension and add that dimension to this. Then we'll gusset the top. She should be done.
Real quick, before we get started, I am going to tack these bars onto the frame just so we know that it doesn't move at all while we're working. Because believe it or not, this frame is pretty light and can be moved easily.
So before we cut these guys off, we have to measure from this plate to the top of the deck height here. And this one is exactly 3.5 inches. So 3.5 inches, so once we cut this off and we put the new boat sides on there, we can raise it up 1.5 inches. So the top of this will be at 5 inches.
So last night I did get all the old body mounts off and we put the new ones on. They are looking good. All 6 of them are welded up. And now I'm going to put a gusset on top. And Chris just cut out little pieces of steel for me and place it on top and weld at the very top and at the bottom here. And basically that's just gonna be more structure and stability. Although I already know these are pretty strong, we're going the extra mile. The rest of this video is going to consist of getting the body mounts finished, and then we are going to be welding the rear TJ/LJ frame kit. What else are we doing, Chris?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know yet.
He doesn't know yet.
As we can get.
As much as we can get done, yeah. If you guys like my shirt, it says Barnes 4-wheel drive. They did send an extra large, so I had to do some fabricating.
Beck got the frame rails welded up, and she has become quite the welder. I am so proud of her. They are so sick. But while she was doing that, I got the frame squared up, centered up, leveled up, and one thing that you should probably get if you're ever gonna do this is a laser. So we got it completely centered. It's centered on the floor. It's centered on the rail. So I marked between frame rails, found center, and went all the way up. So now what we're gonna do, chop the rear of this thing off. So in the directions, you're supposed to chop it off 13/16 back from the mount. Luckily I did that before we cut these off, but then we have to add 10 inches to that because this is an LJ. So we have to cut it off at 10 13/16 from the old original mount. I'm gonna chop it off there and then we'll hang it. So I picked up the measurements from the body mount to the floor so that we have them when we put the new frame rails in there, we can level it up. It's also square. All the frame rails are level. It took me a minute, but I got it all leveled up. So now we're just gonna chop it off and go from there. And she can't use the plasma though, because I want a nice clean cut. So she's mad, but we got to use this bandsaw. So we'll use my porta saw, my porta band, and we'll just cut it off. So there it is, the back half is on. We got it all plug welded, the receiver's plug welded, the extension is welded on both sides, it's squared. You check it many times. Tack, check. Tack that side, check it again. Tack again, check it again. Weld this side, check it again. I did have to pull it from this mount to this mount just to get it over a 1/16 of an inch, and then we just kept welding and now it's perfect. So that's what you got to do. So now we're just going to clean it all up and flip it over so that we can do all the bottom of the welds, all the bottom of these and the bottom of the frame rails and stuff. So we're going to get this all cleaned up.
So before we roll this frame underneath the body, we have these lovely body mounts from Energy Suspension. They are polyurethane, 6 for the main, 4 for the rear, and 3 for the grill bumper area. So, aren't they nice? We were missing so many of these.
That's absolutely right.
So this is exciting. I'm happy about this.
All right, so we got the body down. As you can see, she fits perfect on the motor mounts. The rear frame is 1.5 inches, so I need to make a spacer because I didn't feel like chopping that up. So I still need to make a spacer for the rear, but it's lined up and everybody fits, everybody's down. It's pretty sweet, it lined right up. Now I have to pull the body back up so we can grind out those bad studs. And I gotta fit the gas tank. So, fuel tank's gotta go in. A little chopping and grinding today. We'll make a stock tank fit within those pinched rails. They say some modification needs to be done because the tank is a little bit wider than the frame now, but I'll pinch this off a little bit. So now before I get started, I know that I have 1.5 inches above this frame before I'm into the floor. So I'm gonna mark where this rail is here, and I think I can miss it with the fuel pickup. So I think I can get it up another, I don't know, 1/2 inch without running into the floor. I'll give myself some leeway, but I do know that ultimately the tank will go up 1.5 inches from where it was factory. All right, so we got the body up and the frame down. This cross member is marked out right here. Now we gotta get that in here. So that's what we're gonna work on right now. I know it's too wide. I know I'm gonna end up slivering this side, probably half. And because the tank tapers at the top, I'm pretty sure I can get at least half of this rail in there as well before it gets too fat at the bottom. The tank will probably be offset probably about 1/2 inch or so, just because this side is flat and this side has the taper on the tank. And I'll show you when we get that in there. I think it will be doable, but let's find out. All right, so as you can see, that frame rail will still be in there. And all I have to do is pie cut or, half that one. I can just sleeve that one in half. And this one will be a little bit more than half. I think it'll work. Let's pull some measurements, get this going. So I have company today. She's being really lazy and she's not helping at all. Don't worry, before I weld, I'll get her back inside, but she's just hanging out. It's a little warm today. Moving on. So I gotta cut this guy out for the filler neck. For the fuel tank will sit right here and the fuel neck should come out right here. But before I chop that out, I don't have any pipe to lay back in there. So I'm gonna make something real quick. I just took a piece of 1.5 inch pipe, cut it into quarters, and I'm just gonna weld this guy like this. Boop, boop, so that it matches. I'll trace it out in here even better and then cut this section out so that I can put that piece in there and then cut it square to the frame rail. Yeah. There you have it. Little dish for the frame. Let's get it in. So there she is. pretty sweet. I think it came out pretty good. So the filler neck should stick out right here, if my calculations are correct. And then this side we'll just plate off and do the same thing on this side. But I needed that little scoop in it. And then we'll plate this all off. And then this side, which is why I cut this guy off. So this guy will go back up inside and get re-welded in here. So they'll still have some structure. Then I'll probably build some sort of ghost plate out here and pick up another chunk underneath so that we can get the bumper to come out underneath the frame. I'll show you guys that in a minute. We'll do the same over here, which is why I wanted as much structure out here as I can. So we'll build another ghost plate that'll pick this all up, and then it'll drop down and pick up another piece underneath so that we can have some support for our rear bumper and skid plate, which I will show you. Oh, there you go. Just sit right about there. Look at that. That looks so good. Sweet. All right, so now all we got to do is box this up right here. So we'll just box this in, then we'll come over here and we'll box that in. We got enough room. It's gonna look sweet. I think it's actually back and up about 4 inches. I have to think about it, but I think it's back a little bit. It's pretty sweet. Let's find out how far back we are. Well, I think I got it. It looks pretty dope. There she is. Now let's just hope she fits. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure she'll fit, but so I got this guy all done. This thing looks awesome. So the neck will come right out of here. Frame is all boxed back in, so that it should be pretty strong. It's all the way boxed back all the way up into here. This one is reboxed. It should be plenty strong enough. Again, I'm just gonna try to get the tank fit for now, and then we can put the skid on it, and then we can drop the body back down. I'm pretty sure I should have this wrapped up today. Got the body back down, and so close, but it fits. It's so good. I can even scoot it back just a hair more. I can go back a little bit more. Oh, so we're gonna go back a little bit more. Ugh. There we go. Oh yeah. It's pretty sweet. Now I just gotta take the body back up and then build some brackets for the skid, which I will show you in a second. All right, so this is another thing we picked up from Barnes 4-wheel drive. It is a 3/16 gas tank skid for the stock TJ/LJ gas tanks. It'll bolt right up to your factory locations, but she's not so factory anymore. So we're gonna do a little bit of fabrication and make this work. Just like any other fun build, there's fabrication involved, and that's what we do. So we're gonna take this stock skid and just modify. I don't think we're gonna have to actually modify this at all. I think we're just gonna have to make some brackets and tabs to fit this on there. It looks like it's gonna clear my frame rails anyway, because I'm pretty sure the frame rails are gonna be up higher. I'm gonna get this thing measured out and see if she fits. And of course, it's nighttime, and that light decided it doesn't want to play today. So it's a little dark in this corner. It's not too bad on camera, but it's a little darker in person. So we'll get some lights up and do the best we can to try to get this thing mounted tonight. All right, it looks like it's gonna work out pretty well. I just have to build a rear support across here because it looks like we're about 1.5 inches up, which is exactly what I thought it was because we raised the tank about 1.5 inches. So what I'm gonna have to do, cut this flange off somewhere down here and lower this flange 1.5 inches and then build a bracket off of this support. And that'll bolt up this whole front. I'll have to build a tab off for this one, but I'm gonna have to cut this one down too. So if I lower this 1.5 inches, I'll cut and slice out about 1.5 inches out of those two. And then I will come up with some sort of support back here. I think what we're gonna end up doing ultimately is I have a really large chunk of angle iron out there. I'm gonna probably plate this, which means the lip will come out just under that. And then from there, I'll build another box that'll pick up these bolt holes and not look out of place out of the rear of this, because that's about what the bumper is going to end up ultimately being. The bumper is probably going to be this big, so this flange should be hidden by the bumper, and then the Barnes 4-wheel drive will just hang out underneath. Now yes, if you look down the frame rail, we are off-centered. but we're off centered because I needed that tank to fit in here. And this is the side that it made the difference on. So it's just a little off center, but hey, we gotta do what we gotta do, right? Custom. Wee! It's a hot one tonight. Ta-da! It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna try to get the tank shoved in there. It's a little heavy, but it's gotta go like in from the bottom kind of thing. I think it's gonna work out great. I think I just gotta build one tab for this side over here. And then we gotta tackle this back part to the frame rails. Let's see how this goes. It should be pretty easy. I know, right? Half this video is going to be installing a fuel tank, but this is the fun part for me anyway. It doesn't really fit. It's a little bit far forward with this shoved all the way in this rail. So what I'm going to end up doing is probably just cutting from like here back to there. Well, actually, no, right here. And taking this flange out and probably just adding a piece of some broke over steel, which is good because it'll give me more support here. So maybe a piece of angle iron, a short piece of angle iron across here. Will give me more thickness here, more support. It'll allow me to pull this tank back, you know, that 1/2 inch that I need, which will put me back over the end of the frame, which is where we want to be. So it's looking good. I think it's just about wrapped up. Now I just gotta make a tab for that, which is just flat off, straight off of this, and just pick up a big old tab off of there for that guy. So we're just gonna notch this, cut this section of flange off, and then just plate this with a piece of angle iron and kick it out about a 1/2 inch or so. Give me something to mount to. I know this roller cart's jingling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a. But anyway, this is sick. This barn skid plate is absolutely no joke. It is solid. It's a good 3/16 steel. That thing is flipping heavy. I can't wait to wheel this thing. Well, okay. I can't wait for her to wheel this thing. And now that it's morning time, you can really see what's going on in there. We got a lot of clearance. We're back down where we should be. That filler is right in the middle of that frame. We got enough room, so now I'm just gonna build a rear pickup off the back of the frame to pick up that flange. Got to build a flange in there for those two pickups and the one in the far back. But yeah, it's looking really good. And it is up about 1.5 inches and it's back about 5.5 inches from where it started. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now we'll just mount it. Well, there it is. I got the tank almost all the way mounted in. I got the back supports on. I had to put a little piece of angle iron in there to have something to bolt to. So now that it's all mounted, pulled it back another 1.5 inches. I had to move this guy back just a hair, but it is as far back as it will possibly go. It sits all the way up against this guy right here. So now it is as far back as it'll go. And in order to finish it off, I had cut the rear cross member off the back of the frame. So we still had the old frame. So she cut this back piece off. We got it all plated up, all cleaned up. Now that I don't have any provisions for the rear frame, we're gonna set the body down. I'm gonna put the body mounts in it and I'm gonna bolt this skid plate to it, and then we're gonna figure out how we're gonna attach the two. I really like this idea because it's gonna give us all the factory mounting bolts for like another bumper. So we do have some bumpers coming that are being custom made. It's not really custom, it's gonna be one of the first ones, and we'll tell you about that when it gets here. But for now, I'm gonna try to get this on here. So I'm gonna put the body mounts back on it, bolt it back here to the factory body mounts locations, and then get it down and bolt it up. And then I'm gonna figure out how to weld it on. So we just whipped up these little pieces that are gonna connect the Barnes back half kit to the stock rear frame member for the rear bumper. Let's get these welded in.
The frame is finally finished and it looks amazing. We did have to fabricate the gas skid to fit with the rear TJLJ frame kit, but it is doable, and I mean really this works great, and the body fits perfectly with it, and I am so excited about this because the gas tank was pushed back 5 inches, which means the axles will be pushed back 5 inches, and just the function is going to be so much better. At this point, I'm just waiting for suspension parts to come in.
And I got 90% of the engine and the ECU wired together. So now I'm waiting on is to get the body back down on the chassis so I can wire the two together and make everybody happy.
As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead. Damn it, you're wrong.
Remember to like and subscribe and share, and you can get all of your Lite Brite merch and decals
At lightbrightstudios.com.
Until next time, bye. Mwah. Apparently my batteries are done charging. Oh, that's going on for a long time. I've never heard them before do that. All right, well, my batteries are charged.